dream destinations, exceptional cruises, polar adventures. Welcome to Beyond the Horizon, the podcast that takes you where the journey truly begins. A production of Area Voyages.
So, the most expensive commodity on a modern luxury cruise ship isn't really the imported beluga caviar in the dining room.
Right at all.
And it isn't the low sulfur bunker fuel required to power the engines either. And it's definitely not the Egyptian cotton sheets in the staterooms.
Yeah, the real cost is something completely invisible.
Exactly. The absolute most expensive, highly contested thing on the water is, well, it's empty space.
It really is. I mean, it is the ultimate defining metric in maritime architecture. The ratio of cubic volume to passengers basically dictates the entire economic reality of a ship.
Right.
Because every single square foot of air that isn't generating revenue or, housing a passenger is just a massive financial liability for the cruise line.
Which is wild to think about. So today, we are doing a deep dive into a travel brand that essentially hacked that spatial metric, right?
Yeah.
They used it to carve out a massive chunk of the travel industry.
It absolutely did.
We are putting Emerald Cruises under the microscope today. And our roadmap for this is a really fascinating, highly detailed 2026 travel guide from ARVIA Voyages.
Yeah, written by their cruise specialist, Yvonne Jr. Blanchette.
Exactly. And the mission here really is to decode the rapidly evolving world of premium small ship travel. We want to understand what accessible premium travel actually means in practice.
Because it sounds like marketing fluff, right?
Totally. It sounds like reading a tax document sometimes.
Yeah.
So we're unpacking that. We want to help you, the listener, navigate the incredibly dense fine print of cruise inclusions.
Yeah, the stuff they hide at the bottom of the brochure.
Right. And figure out whether this specific style of exploration actually aligns with how you want to see the world.
And what's fascinating here is how Blanchette's analysis in the guide, he doesn't just list amenities. He really deconstructs the whole business model.
Which is so helpful.
It really is, because Emerald has engineered a highly specific, almost surgically precise market position. They are sitting right in the crosshairs between the mainstream megaships.
You mean like the floating cities with the climbing walls and thousands of passengers?
Exactly, sitting right between those, and the ultra-luxury white glove expedition ships where every whim is catered to, but at a completely astronomical, often prohibitive price point.
Okay, but you don't just magically manifest a fleet of ships in that middle ground out of thin air.
No, definitely not.
I mean, this requires hundreds of millions of dollars in capital investment and decades of shipbuilding infrastructure. So to understand how Emerald actually wedged themselves into this space, we kind of have to rewind to the origins of their parent company.
We do. We have to talk about an Australian entrepreneur named Glenn Moroney.
Right.
Moroney is a fascinating study in market timing, honestly. Back in 1986, he founded the Scenic group in Australia, initially starting with coach tours, of all things.
Wait, really? Coach tours?
Yeah, but he eventually transitioned into European river cruising. And by the 2000s, Scenic had evolved into the absolute flagship, ultra-luxury river cruise brand in Europe. If you were looking for the absolute top tier of all-inclusive, highly formal, traditional luxury on the water, Scenic was the pinnacle.
Okay, which immediately begs the question, right? If you have already conquered the absolute top of the mountain, why pivot?
It's a huge risk.
Yeah, he already owned the high-margin, ultra-wealthy demographic. Launching a new brand with a lower price point seems like a massive gamble. You are essentially inviting your own loyal customers to trade down to a cheaper product.
That is the classic innovator's dilemma right there. But Moroney recognized a demographic ceiling approaching. By 2013, the landscape of wealth was just shifting.
In what way?
Well, there was a rapidly expanding segment of travelers, younger Gen Xers, active boomers, eventually older millennials who had significant disposable income. But their aesthetic and cultural values were entirely different from the traditional luxury cruiser.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. They wanted the impeccable operational back end, the seamless logistics, and the shipbuilding quality that Scenic was known for, but they actively rejected the formality of it all.
So they basically didn't want the white gloves.
No. They didn't want to pack a tuxedo for a vacation.
Right.
They wanted a contemporary minimalist design aesthetic. And crucially, they were highly sensitive to the concept of value.
Which makes sense.
Right. They were wealthy enough to afford ultra-luxury, but they found the extreme hyper-inclusivity, like paying for a butler they didn't even intend to use, to be financially inefficient.
So it's kind of like Emerald Waterways was established in 2013, not as a discount version of Scenic, but as a completely parallel architectural and cultural offering.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
Yeah, think of it like the Volkswagen Group owning both Bentley and Audi.
Oh, great analogy.
Right. Bentley is the ultra-luxury flagship. It's heady, bespoke, dripping in traditional heritage and like wood veneers.
Very old school wealth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Audi shares the exact same massive engineering back end, the safety standards, the chassis development. But the driver of an Audi wants a sleeker, sportier, more modern, and slightly more accessible machine.
That structural framework is exactly how Moroni built this.
Okay.
I mean, Emerald operates as a sister brand to Scenic. They're both fully owned subsidiaries, both headquartered in Switzerland.
Yep.
Scenic Group's main corporate hub is in Bar, while Emerald operates its specific logistics out of Zug, Switzerland. So the back-end purchasing power, the nautical engineering, the safety protocols, all of that is shared.
Right, the expensive unseen stuff.
Exactly. But the outward-facing product is distinctly separated by price tier and tone.
And man, that tone was set aggressively from day one. I was reading about the launch of the very first starship, the Emerald Sky, back in 2014.
Oh, the christening.
Yes. They christened it in Amsterdam, which, was standard. But the person they chose to act as the godmother to the ship was Twiggy.
Which is just brilliant.
It is. The defining face of 1960s mod fashion. This is such a brilliant piece of nonverbal communication from the brand.
Totally.
In an industry where ships are usually christened by royalty or aging politicians or traditional actresses, bringing in Twiggy signals something very specific.
It signals disruption without losing the premium edge. I mean, Twiggy represents high fashion, but she also represents the breaking of traditional rules.
Right.
She was playful, she was starkly modern, she was entirely different from the heavy, corseted elegance of the previous eras. By attaching her to the Emerald Sky, the brand was broadcasting to the market, we are premium, we are stylish, but we are absolutely not stuffy.
I understand the branding, I really do. But as a consumer, the phrase accessible premium always triggers my skepticism just a bit.
Sure, because you think it's a trap.
Yeah. The math has to balance somewhere. You cannot offer the exact same hardware, the exact same routes, and the exact same culinary quality for a lower price point without stripping something out of the chassis somewhere. So where's the compromise?
Well, the math absolutely balances, but it balances by removing things that this specific demographic already considered obsolete anyway. The compromise is entirely focused on traditional luxury excess. So Scenic gives you butlers in every single cabin category, right? Emerald scales the staffing ratio back so you don't have a dedicated butler.
Makes sense.
Scenic includes top-shelf spirits poured all day and night in your base fare. Emerald shifts to a more targeted inclusion model, which, we'll unpack the specific economics of later, where you get premium wine and beer with meals, but a midnight cocktail is out of pocket.
Okay, so they didn't cut the quality of the ship's steel, they just cut the performative elements of the service.
Precisely. They recognize that modern premium travelers define luxury not by how many people are waiting on them, but by the quality of the environment and the frictionlessness of the experience.
Which naturally brings us to the actual hardware. Because you can have the smartest business strategy in the world, but if the ships don't perform, the brand dies.
Absolutely. The metal has to deliver.
Let's look at the foundation of their entire operation, the European rivers. According to the 2026 fleet data in the AEREA guide, Emerald currently operates 9 active starships across Europe.
Right.
They're navigating the Rhine, the Main, the Danube, the Moselle, the Rhône, the Saône, and the Douro. Plus, they have a unique operation on the Mekong.
Yep.
And next month, in May 2026, they launch their 10th ship, the Emerald Azzurra, followed by a custom-built Seine ship, the Emerald Lumi, in 2027.
The scale is really significant, but the engineering challenge of building these starships is what truly defines the brand. People often assume a river cruise ship is just a miniaturized ocean liner.
Right, just shrink it down.
But the reality is that river shipbuilding is an exercise in extreme, immovable geographic constraints.
I really want to dig into that. Because when you look at a river ship, they all roughly look like long, flat rectangles. There isn't much variation in the external shape at all.
That uniformity is completely dictated by concrete and centuries-old masonry.
So interesting.
Yeah. If you want to sail from the North Sea down to to the Black Sea, which is the classic trans-European river route, you have to navigate the Rhine-Main-Danube Canal. That canal features dozens of locks.
And lock is essentially a water elevator, right?
Exactly. It raises or lowers a ship to deal with changes in elevation. The dimensions of those locks are fixed. They are not changing. So a standard European river ship absolutely cannot be longer than 135 meters, and it cannot be wider than 11.45 meters.
Wow, that is incredibly specific.
It is. Furthermore, the height of the ship is restricted by the low bridges spanning the rivers, meaning you can't just build upward either.
So you are basically trying to build a premium 5-star hotel inside a very specific, utterly inflexible metal shoebox.
Exactly. And because the external dimensions are capped, the only way a cruise line can distinguish itself is through hyper-efficient interior spatial management.
Right.
You literally cannot afford a single square foot of dead space. Every room, every public area has to justify its existence on a 24-hour cycle.
Which leads us directly to what Blanchette highlights as Emerald's signature architectural innovation, the pool to cinema.
Oh, this is brilliant.
It's so cool. At the stern of these starships, they have a heated indoor pool under a retractable glass roof. During the day, it's a traditional pool deck. But at night, the space mechanically transforms.
Like a Bond villain lair.
Exactly. A solid floor rises up to cover the water, the crew arranges lounge seating, a massive screen comes down, and it becomes a first-run movie theater.
From an engineering standpoint, this solves the dead space problem perfectly. On most traditional river ships, if they have an outdoor pool, it becomes completely useless real estate the moment the sun goes down.
Right, or if it rains.
Or during the chilly autumn months on the Danube, it just sits there empty and cold. By installing the retractable roof and the mechanical floor, Emerald created a venue that operates and generates guest value 18 to 20 hours a day, completely regardless of the weather outside.
It is a phenomenal party trick, honestly, but it's also just highly practical. But I have to ask, and I mean this seriously, does an indoor pool on a river ship actually feel luxurious? Or does it feel like you were swimming in a humid glass box?
That's a fair question. The climate control engineering is highly sophisticated to prevent that humid box feeling, but the real luxury is simply having the option.
Fair point.
Most river cruisers spend their days walking 5 to 10 miles on cobblestone streets. Having a dedicated aquatic recovery space that isn't just a tiny hot tub on an open, windy deck is a major differentiator in the market.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And they applied a similar logic of spatial efficiency to the cabins themselves.
Oh, the balconies.
Yes. The guide spends a lot of time analyzing the panorama balcony suite, which is the standard feature on their upper decks. Now, a traditional step-out balcony on a ship is great, but it eats into your interior square footage.
Massively.
If the ship is only 11.45 meters wide, every foot you dedicate to an outdoor balcony makes your actual bedroom smaller.
And in Europe, a step-out balcony might only be comfortable to use a few months out of the year anyway. For the rest of the season, it's just wasted, cold space.
So Emerald utilizes this indoor balcony concept. It is essentially a floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall glass pane at the edge of the cabin. And with the push of a button, the top half of that glass horizontally slides down to waist level.
The genius of the panorama balcony is that it transforms the entire cabin into a sunroom. When the glass is up, the space is fully climate controlled and part of your interior footprint.
So your living area is significantly larger than a comparable cabin with a step-out balcony.
Exactly. But when you lower the glass, you get the fresh air, the unobstructed sounds of the river, and the immediate connection to the landscape without stepping out into the elements.
It's basically the difference between standing on a small, cramped porch versus having your entire living room open up to the riverbank.
That's exactly it.
Now, all of these innovations, the cinema, the balconies, they're standard across the European fleet. But there is a glaring exception in the 2026 lineup, and that is the Emerald Harmony.
Oh, yes. Operating in Southeast Asia on the Mekong River.
Right. Why is this one so different?
The Harmony is arguably the most interesting ship in the fleet because it highlights how intensely geography dictates maritime architecture. The Mekong is a wildly volatile, complex river system compared to the highly regulated, lock-controlled European rivers.
The guide specifically notes that the Harmony only carries 68 guests. That is a massive reduction from the 180 guests on the European starships. Why such a drastic cut in capacity? Is there simply less demand for the Mekong?
No, it has nothing to do with demand. It is a hard infrastructural requirement.
Really?
Yeah. The Harmony sails between Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam and Siem Reap in Cambodia. To navigate this route effectively, especially through the Tonle Sap Lake region, the ship must have an incredibly shallow draft.
And the draft is the vertical distance between the waterline and the very bottom of the hull, right?
Correct. During the dry season, water levels in the Mekong Basin drop drastically. If you bring a heavy 180-passenger vessel into those waters, it will simply run aground.
So the ship has to be physically lighter and ride higher in the water.
Yes. But there is also a vertical constraint. To sail directly from the heart of Ho Chi Minh City, a ship has to pass under the Cho Gao Canal bridges.
Bridges again.
Always bridges. Most large river ships are too tall to fit under these, forcing them to dock far outside the city. That requires passengers to take a long bus ride to actually reach the ship. Emerald specifically designed the Harmony to sit low enough to clear those bridges, allowing passengers to embark and disembark right in the center of the city.
That is a massive logistical advantage for the traveler. You avoid a 2-hour bus transfer before your vacation even starts.
It's huge.
And because they cut the passenger capacity to 68 to meet these weight and height requirements, the staff-to-guest ratio plummets to nearly 1:2.
Which organically elevates the service level to near ultra-luxury standards simply as a byproduct of the engineering.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So Emerald spends the better part of a decade mastering these incredibly tight, heavily constrained river environments. They figure out how to maximize every single cubic inch of a 135-meter box.
Right.
And then, in 2022, they pivot. They decide to take that spatial expertise and step out onto the open ocean.
But they didn't build a massive cruise ship.
No, they built super yachts.
Which is wild.
This was a seismic transition for the industry. The Ocean Yacht Program is essentially an attempt to democratize the billionaire super yacht experience.
And the pace of this rollout is staggering. They launched the Emerald Azzurra in 2022, holding just 100 guests. Then the Emerald Sakara in 2023, identical capacity.
Yep.
This month, April 2026, the Emerald Kaia hits the water with 128 guests, featuring an expanded skydeck and private cabanas, and they already have the Rhea slated for 2027 and the Zara for 2028. That's 5 custom-built ocean yachts in 6 years.
That kind of aggressive capital deployment basically screams that the accessible premium model is wildly profitable.
Clear. But what is truly disruptive here is the physical footprint of these vessels. At 110 meters in length, these are not cruise ships. They are legally and functionally classified as yachts.
Okay, that's an important distinction.
Very. They have the sleek, dart-like profile, the sharp bow, and the aesthetic scaling of a private vessel owned by a tech mogul.
And the interior design language totally reflects that private ownership feel. The guide extensively details the styling. They aren't using the traditional maritime brass, mahogany, and nautical flags.
Thank goodness.
Right. They partnered with Missoni Home for the textiles and Mui for the furniture.
Which is a profound statement of intent. For listeners who might not follow industrial design, Mui is a highly avant-garde Dutch design house founded by Marcel Wanders.
Okay.
They are known for a concept called the unexpected welcome, combining extremely modern, sometimes surreal shapes with luxurious materials. By filling a ship with Mui furniture and Missoni textiles, which are famous for those vibrant, dynamic zigzag patterns, Emerald is aggressively targeting a younger, highly design-literate demographic.
So you walk into the lounge, and it looks like a high-end boutique hotel in Milan, not a floating casino.
Exactly.
But the hardware feature that completely dominates the marketing, the thing that every single review focuses on, is the marina platform at the stern of these yachts.
Oh, the marina platform is the most vital architectural element of the ocean fleet. It fundamentally rewrites the psychological contract between the passenger and the sea.
Let's break down mechanically what this actually is, because it's not just a ladder bolted to the back of the boat.
No. The transom, the flat back section of the yacht's hull, features heavy mechanical hydraulics. When the yacht drops anchor in a calm bay off the coast of the Seychelles or a small Greek island, the stern literally hinges open and a massive platform lowers directly down to the waterline. It becomes a floating beach club.
Okay, I look at the schematics for this, and I have to push back on the engineering logic just a bit. You are taking the hull of a ship, the absolute most critical barrier keeping the ocean out, and you are intentionally cutting a giant fold-out door into it. That seems like a massive structural headache just so people can go paddleboarding. It is a massive structural and hydrostatic challenge. The sealing mechanisms have to be flawless to maintain the watertight integrity of the ship when underway.
I would hope so.
Right. But the payoff is worth the engineering cost because it solves the core isolation problem of modern cruising.
What do you mean?
Think about a 4,000 passenger megaship. You are hovering 12 or 15 stories above the water. You are separated from the ocean by thick glass, metal railings, and thousands of tons of steel. The ocean is just scenery. It is basically a television program playing outside your window.
You never actually interact with it unless you take a tender boat to a crowded public beach.
Exactly. The marina platform shatters that barrier. You walk out of the lounge, grab an espresso, walk down a few steps, and jump directly into the Adriatic Sea.
Yeah. The crew deploys floating trampolines, kayaks, snorkeling gear, and sea bobs directly from this platform. It turns the ocean into an immediate tactile extension of the ship's amenities.
That sounds incredible. Now, regarding the cabins on these yachts, the pricing hierarchy is pretty steep. The ship tops out with these massive owner's suites. We're talking almost 1,200 square feet of interior and exterior space for 2 people.
Huge.
That includes a separate bedroom, a sprawling lounge, a walk-in wardrobe, and a massive private terrace wrapping around the corners of the ship.
A 1,200 square foot suite on a vessel that only holds 100 passengers is an absurd ratio of space to humanity. It is literally palace-level real estate.
But I want to advocate for the budget-conscious traveler here for a second. Let's look at the absolute bottom of the hierarchy, the entry-level ocean view staterooms located on the lower decks.
Okay.
They have a picture window, no balcony, and significantly less square footage.
Yeah.
If I book that room to save money, am I ruining the yacht experience? Am I just locking myself in a dark closet while the millionaires enjoy the ship?
No, in fact, it is arguably the smartest financial hack in the entire luxury travel sector.
Really? How so?
You have to remember the scale of the vessel. This is a 100-guest yacht. The public spaces, the lounges, the restaurants, the pool deck are engineered so they never feel crowded. There is no fighting for a deck chair at 7 a.m.
So the entire ship basically functions as your personal living room.
Exactly. If you are a traveler who prefers to spend the day hiking through a port town, swimming off the marina platform, or reading in the Horizon Lounge, your cabin is merely a place to sleep and shower.
Right.
By booking the Ocean View stateroom, you gain access to the exact same Michelin-level culinary program, the exact same avant-garde MUI design spaces, and the exact same secluded anchorages as the person in the owner's suite, but at a fraction of the cost. You are purchasing the itinerary and the public architecture, not the bedroom square footage.
That is a phenomenal perspective. It completely reframes how to evaluate value on a small ship.
It really does.
Now, we have covered the beautiful furniture, the cinema pools, the marina platforms. The hardware is undeniably premium. But hardware is only half the equation, right?
Yeah.
The true test of any cruise brand, and the thing that causes the most anxiety and spreadsheet-induced headaches for travelers, is the fine print.
Oh, the inclusion model.
Yes. Let's talk about the economics of the bar tab. Because earlier we established that Emerald is accessible premium, sitting one tier below the hyper-inclusive ultra-luxury brands. How does their financial model actually work day to day on the ship?
Well, both the river and ocean products operate on a very specific inclusion baseline. Your base fare covers your room, all your meals, complimentary high-speed Wi-Fi, your port charges and taxes, and select daily excursions.
Okay, pretty standard.
But crucially, it also includes all gratuities, both on board for the crew and on shore for the tour guides.
Okay, the gratuity inclusion is a massive psychological relief. Nothing ruins the final evening of a supposedly premium vacation faster than finding an envelope slipped under your door with a mandatory $400 tip bill you hadn't budgeted for.
It removes so much friction. But the dividing line, the fundamental difference in the business model between Emerald and an ultra-luxury line like Scenic, Seabourn, or Regent, is how they handle alcohol.
Right. According to the guide, on Emerald, complimentary wine, beer, and soft drinks are heavily poured, but only at lunch and dinner.
Correct.
If you walk up to the bar at 4 a.m. and order a gin and tonic, or ask for a premium whiskey after dinner, you are signing a check.
To understand why they do this, we really have to pull back the curtain on how cruise economics work. When an ultra-luxury line advertises a free 247 open bar with top-shelf spirits and endless champagne, that alcohol is not actually free.
Well, it's not a philanthropy.
No, they are not. They aren't just absorbing the cost of 1,000 bottles of Veuve Clicquot out of the goodness of their hearts.
Obviously not.
Actuaries calculate the average daily alcohol consumption across thousands of passengers. They take that massive cost and bake it directly into the base fare of every single ticket.
I see.
This creates an economic dynamic of subsidization. If you are a traveler who only drinks a single glass of Pinot Noir with dinner, or maybe you don't drink alcohol at all, on a fully all-inclusive line, you are heavily subsidizing the cost of the passenger 3 doors down who is ordering 4 premium martinis by the pool every afternoon.
Wow. So the accessible premium model is essentially allowing you to opt out of paying for a stranger's bar tab.
That is the exact mechanism. By stripping out the baked-in cost of the $247 open bar, Emerald dramatically lowers the upfront ticket price for everyone. They provide the alcohol when 90% of passengers actually want it during meals, and shift heavy off-hours drinking to an a la carte model.
That is a total light bulb moment. If you are a moderate drinker, you are saving thousands of dollars up front.
Thousands.
But the flip side is true too. If you are the person who wants a mimosa at breakfast, a pina colada at noon, and a Scotch nightcap, you need to mentally add those daily costs back into your spreadsheet because suddenly the cheaper cruise might end up costing the same as the all-inclusive one.
Exactly. It requires an honest self-audit of your own consumption habits before you book. And Blanchette notes in the guide that the ocean product is slightly more strict on inclusions than the rivers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on the ocean yachts, it operates more like a boutique hotel. Your spa treatments at the Element Spa are out of pocket. Certain highly specialized excursions cost extra. The base fare gets you on the yacht and feeds you brilliantly, but the hyper-customized extras are on you.
Speaking of excursions, let's look at the actual day-to-day cadence. You have saved money on the base fare. The ship drops anchor in a medieval village on the Danube or off the coast of a tiny Caribbean island. What is the infrastructure for getting passengers off the ship and into the culture?
Emerald structures their excursion ecosystem into 4 highly defined, color-coded tiers: Discovery, Plus, Active, and Discover More. This modular approach is designed to counter the old stereotype of the sluggish cattle herd cruise tour.
Okay, so the baseline tier, included in every fare, is Emerald Discovery. This seems pretty standard across the industry.
It is the foundation. You arrive in a city like Vienna or Budapest, and Emerald Discovery provides the comprehensive guided orientation. It's a walking or bus tour led by a local English-speaking guide that hits the major historical monuments, the cathedrals, the primary squares. It is efficient, reliable sightseeing.
But then we step up to Emerald PLOS, which is also included in the base fare.
Emerald PLOS is where the brand starts flexing its logistical muscles. These are cultural immersion experiences. They move past passive observation and into active cultural engagement.
Like what?
This might mean arranging private access to a local family's home in a Croatian village for a home-cooked meal. It could be an after-hours private concert in a historic nave, or a hands-on workshop with regional artisans.
It's the type of access that is incredibly difficult, if not completely impossible, to arrange on your own as an independent traveler.
Exactly. The cruise line leverages its long-term regional contracts to open doors that are closed to the general public, and the fact that these are included, not upcharged, is a major value proposition.
But the tier that fascinates me the most, the one that perfectly encapsulates the shift in modern travel demographics we were talking about, is Emerald Active. Again, included in the fare.
The appreciative tier acknowledges a massive psychological shift. For previous generations, physical exertion was often associated with daily labor. Therefore, a luxury vacation was defined by a total lack of physical effort. You sat on a deck chair and did absolutely nothing.
But today, the premium traveler is likely a white-collar professional who sits at a desk 50 hours a week. For them, physical exertion in a beautiful environment is the ultimate luxury.
Precisely. They don't want to look at a vineyard through the tinted window of a tour bus while a guide drones on a microphone. They want to be physically embedded in the landscape. Emerald Active provides guided, rigorous bike rides along the riverbanks, intensive hikes up to ruined castles, and canoe trips down minor tributaries.
I have to pause and look at the logistics of this, though. Having 50 or 60 high-end bicycles on a ship takes up a massive amount of storage space. And deploying them, getting a fleet of bikes off a ship fitted for passengers and organized with a guide in the middle of a tiny medieval port is an operational nightmare. Most cruise lines would aggressively charge an extra fee just to justify that level of logistical friction.
The fact that Emerald absorbs that friction into the base fare is a testament to how heavily they are targeting a younger, more dynamic demographic. They know that if they nickel and dime the passenger for a bicycle, they lose that customer to an independent land-based trip.
That makes total sense. Finally, there's the 4th tier, Discover More.
Discover More is the only tier that is fully a la carte. These are hyper-specialized, deeply intensive experiences that require significant third-party coordination.
Got examples?
Think of a masterclass at a renowned culinary institute or a full-day private excursion to a distant historical site that requires private transport and specialist historians. The logic here mirrors the alcohol policy. They offer the extreme luxury option, but they don't force every passenger to subsidize the cost of it in the base ticket.
It is a beautifully modular system. You essentially build a tempo of your own vacation day by day. You could do an intense 20-mile bike ride on Tuesday and then a quiet, slow-paced museum tour on Wednesday.
Exactly.
So we have the full picture of Emerald now. We know the corporate origins, we understand the spatial engineering of the ships, the inclusion economics, and the daily excursion flow. But no brand exists in a vacuum. How does Emerald actually stack up against the other heavyweights in the industry?
Blanchette's guide provides a brilliant competitor matrix. By looking at who the competitors are and why someone might choose them, we get the sharpest possible image of exactly who the Emerald customer is.
Let's start by comparing them to their own parent company. Emerald versus Scenic.
As we discussed earlier, Scenic is the ultra-luxury, fully all-inclusive tier. On the rivers, the choice is simple. If you demand a dedicated butler to unpack your suitcase and 247 premium spirits, you pay the premium for Scenic. But on the oceans, the divergence is massive. Scenic operates the Eclipse and Eclipse 2. These are not warm water yachts like Emerald's vessels. They are Polar Class 6 Expedition Discovery yachts.
Okay, we hear Polar Class 6 thrown around in marketing materials all the time, but what does that actually mean mechanically?
Polar Class 6 is an international maritime designation. It means the ship's hull is constructed with heavily reinforced, high-tensile steel designed specifically to ram through and break first-year sea ice. They have specialized independent propulsion systems to maneuver in extreme polar conditions.
And beyond the hull, the toys on board are absurd.
Yeah.
The Scenic ships have twin helicopters and a custom-built 6-person submarine on board.
Exactly. They are built for extreme geographic penetration in Antarctica or the high Arctic. Emerald's ocean yachts, the Azzurra, the Sakara, are built for the warm waters of the Mediterranean, the Adriatic, and the Caribbean. They do not have submarines. They do not have ice-breaking hulls.
So if you take an Emerald yacht into the Weddell Sea in Antarctica, you are going to have a very bad, very short trip.
Yes, you are. So the decision matrix is geographic. If your ultimate goal is the extreme thrill of diving in a submarine beneath an Antarctic ice shelf, you must pay the astronomical price for Scenic.
Right.
If your goal is to paddleboard off a marina platform in the warm, crystal clear waters of the Seychelles, Emerald delivers that specific fantasy at a fraction of the cost, because you aren't subsidizing the cost of a helicopter you won't use.
That distinction clarifies so much about ocean pricing. Now let's look at the European rivers. Arguably, the biggest, most visible competitor in that space is Viking River Cruises. They are the absolute juggernaut of the industry.
Viking commands massive market share, and functionally, their longships are similar in size and capacity to Emerald starships. Both brands deliver incredibly high-quality culinary programs, but the philosophical and cultural differences on board are stark.
The most immediate difference is demographic. Viking is strictly, legally, an adults-only cruise line. No one under 18 is permitted on board. Emerald accepts children, though they don't exactly cater to them with water slides or kids clubs.
That simple policy choice radically alters the acoustic and social environment of the ship. Emerald cultivates a more dynamic, multi-generational atmosphere. You might have a family with teenage children traveling with their grandparents. Viking provides a highly controlled, quiet, adult environment.
Viking also famously refuses to put casinos on their ships. And looking at the financial fine print in the guide, there is a major distinction regarding tips. As of January 2026, Viking charges a mandatory separate $20 per passenger per day gratuity fee on top of their advertised base fare.
For a couple on a 14-day cruise, that adds nearly $600 to the final bill. Emerald bakes those gratuities into the upfront price.
That's a huge difference.
It is. But beyond the money, it really comes down to the aesthetic vibe. Viking leans heavily into cultural and intellectual enrichment. They have curated libraries on board selected by the prestigious Haywood Hill Bookshop in London. The design is heavy on lightwoods, quiet Scandinavian minimalism, and deep focused relaxation.
So if your ideal vacation involves sitting in a silent library, reading a biography of Charlemagne, with absolutely zero chance of hearing a teenager jump into a pool, Viking is your perfect match.
Absolutely.
But if you want a slightly more energetic vibe, maybe you want to watch a movie in the Boule to cinema, and you prefer the modern, sleek, mooey design aesthetic, Emerald wins that battle.
It is a choice between quiet, intellectual reflection and dynamic, contemporary energy.
What about AMA Waterways?
Yeah.
They sit in a very similar price bracket to Emerald.
AMA Waterways is the closest direct competitor on the rivers. They both operate in the accessible premium space, and they both include multiple tiers of excursions, including active biking options. But AMA Waterways stakes their entire brand identity on their culinary program.
The foodies.
Exactly. They are the only river cruise line inducted into the La Chaîne de Rôtisseurs, a prestigious global culinary society. They feature dedicated chefs' table tasting restaurants on their ships, and their wine programs are exhaustive.
They also have a unique approach to cabins, don't they? Many of their staterooms feature twin balconies, so a cabin will have both a French balcony and a full step-out outdoor balcony in the exact same room.
So the matrix there is clear. If your absolute overriding priority on vacation is food and wine, if you consider yourself a true gourmand, AMA Waterways is likely the superior choice.
Okay.
But if you value architectural innovation and the physical utilization of space, the pool to cinema, the massive indoor panorama balconies that maximize your living area, Emerald is the stronger engineering product.
Got it. Finally, let's look at an ocean comparison. The guide mentioned Sea Dream Yacht Club.
Sea Dream is a fascinating baseline because they operate vessels of almost the exact same physical scale as Emerald. A Sea Dream yacht holds roughly 112 guests compared to Emerald's 100. They both sail the Mediterranean and the Caribbean. They both feature drop-down water sports marinas.
It sounds like a mirror image.
Physically, yes, but economically it is an entirely different universe. Sea Dream is firmly in the ultra-luxury category. For those 112 guests, Sea Dream employs a crew of 95. That is a near 1-to-1 guest-to-crew ratio. Furthermore, Sea Dream is aggressively all-inclusive, featuring top-shelf premium spirits poured freely all day long.
So comparison between Emerald and Sea Dream isn't really a cross-shopping exercise based on price. It is a pure value calculation.
Exactly. The traveler has to ask themselves, am I willing to pay double or perhaps triple the base fare for a marginally higher staff ratio and an open bar?
Right.
For the true ultra-wealthy, that price premium is irrelevant. They want the absolute maximum service level. But for the accessible premium traveler, Emerald's 100-guest yacht is more than intimate enough, and the thousands of dollars saved can be deployed elsewhere.
It really seems like Maroney and his team at Emerald have mapped the psychology of the modern traveler with, terrifying precision. They found the exact coordinates where high-end design intersects with financial efficiency.
It is one of the most successful corporate tightrope walks in the modern travel industry. They are delivering the aesthetic and the hardware of the 1%, but engineering the back-end logistics to make it viable for the top 10%.
We're wrapping up this deep dive, looking at everything Yvonne Jr. Blanchette laid out in the Area Voyages Guide. The takeaway is pretty clear. Navigating the world of premium travel doesn't have to be a blind guessing game of deciphering marketing jargon.
No, it doesn't.
Emerald Cruises has built a highly specific, highly coveted niche by stripping away the performative, antiquated excess of traditional luxury. They give you the sleek super yacht, they give you the ingenious river ship architecture, but they trust you enough to let you manage your own bar tab and pedal your own bicycle. It is, quite simply, the smart traveler's luxury.
But before we conclude, I think there's a broader philosophical point here that transcends just Emerald Cruises.
Oh, what is it?
When we look at the success of this specific model, the massive popularity of the marina platform, the high demand for the Emerald active hiking and biking excursions, we are witnessing a profound shift in the very definition of the word luxury.
How so?
For the last century, from the era of the Titanic right up through the 1990s, luxury in travel was defined almost exclusively by absolute passivity.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the ultimate status symbol was immobility. It meant having a small army of staff whose sole purpose was to ensure you never had to lift a finger, make a decision, or exert an ounce of energy. You were separated from the heat, the noise, and the grit of the world by thick glass and white gloves.
You were essentially a piece of very expensive, highly pampered luggage.
Precisely. But today, the paradigm has inverted. True luxury is no longer defined by passivity. It is defined by access and engagement.
Wow, yes.
The modern premium traveler doesn't want to observe the Mediterranean Sea from a climate-controlled lounge 15 stories in the air. They want a heavy steel door to open at the waterline so they can physically dive into it.
Right.
They don't want to be driven past a historic vineyard in an air-conditioned bus. They want the logistical support to safely and comfortably bike through the mud of that vineyard themselves. themselves. They are willing to pay a massive financial premium specifically to get their hands dirty and their feet wet.
So they don't want to just look at the painting. They want to understand how the pigments were mixed.
That is the perfect way to phrase it. It is the desire for friction, but a highly curated, deeply rewarding friction. So as you, the listener, plan your future travels, whether you are booking an ocean superyacht, a European river cruise, or an independent trek across the globe, ask yourself the defining question of modern travel. Do you want a vacation where you are simply catered to, or do you want a vacation where you are actively, physically participating in the world?
A brilliant question to leave us on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this breakdown has equipped you with the analytical tools to separate the marketing fluff from the actual mechanics of travel and provided some clarity for planning your next grand adventure. Until next time.
You've been listening to Beyond the Horizon, the podcast by Area Voyages. The full article for this episode is available at www.areavoyages.com. Remember to like, share the podcast, and leave a review to help promote our work. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. Until next time, safe travels.